Welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and inspire joy. Be empowered to balance your mental, physical, financial, aspirational, and social health while providing mental health awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental illness in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. Int Joy, and I'm here to help you transform life's challenges into opportunities for joy. Let's begin the journey together. Tonight, we're uncovering the haunting side of romance. Because let's be honest, love isn't always blind. Sometimes it's downright terrifying. Love can bring joy and connection, but it can also leave us facing heartbreak, vulnerability, and our deepest fears. In this episode, we'll explore the thrills, chills, and courage it takes to open up, let love in, and keep ourselves grounded. So hold on tight. It's about to get spooky. Woohoo! So we are in episode 70. Love isn't blind. Love is scary. And I decided to do this episode based off of season 7 of Love is Blind because that is the hot series out right now. Everybody's watching it. I love watching Love is Blind, and it just took us on a roller coaster. And that's usually the question that they're asking: is love blind? Do I need to see someone in order to know that I am in love with them? Do I need to see them to know that they are my person and that they are the one that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life? That is the question they always ask. And it seems like, for the most part, love isn't blind because not everyone successfully makes it to the altar and not everyone successfully gets through. And when you're looking at these reality TV shows, I mean, these are actually really people's lives here, right? Really people who are laying it all out there and trying to find love. There's some people just trying to be famous, but they're really trying to find love and in front of the camera. So a lot of what they're trying to do is completely magnified because what you try to do normally outside of camera, it's not like that. And so it can weigh in on your mental health, and it can be really draining and stressful trying to find love in front of the camera. So I can only imagine. But it was, well, first of all, wait a minute, hold up. It's Halloween and I'm dressed like Cleopatra. Just finished going trick-or-treating with the kids. We got in late, so that's why I'm going live late. And Cleopatra has had her share of love herself with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, whoever Cleopatra was with. So I'm sure there was a power struggle and all kinds of dynamic things going back in her time. So there's a relation to that as well. So Cleopatra, oh my goodness. I wasn't even going to dress up, but it was what we had dressed up like last year. The whole family was kind of like Pharaoh, Egyptian type. So I had it on when we went trick-or-treating. I'm like, I'm going to keep this on when I go live. So here I am. So anyway, back to Love is Blind. Super entertaining for sure. And honestly, I thought of this topic because Marissa and Ramses definitely had me. I was with them from the beginning. I said, they are definitely going to make it. In fact, I was just super happy that it was literally 6 or 7 couples in the beginning. One dropped out right away. Then there were 6 couples. I'm like, whoa, that's so many couples. This is going to be great. Marissa and Ramses are totally going to make it. Totally. Even they thought, they're like, yeah, we're front runners. They even said it throughout. Well, maybe it wasn't they. Maybe it was just Marissa. But I was just like, yeah. So I, like the rest of you, felt extremely heartbroken. And yes, spoiler alert, when Ramses broke up with her. So that's why I was welcoming Marissa to come live with me today. She has better things to do. That's okay. But to come live with me today and, hey, talk with your girl. I can give you a therapy session. That's hard. I felt like he broke up with me. I looked at my husband like, wait a minute. And he looked at me. My husband even looked at me like, I feel like Ramsey broke up with me. Just watching reality TV shows, you get invested and you are feeling what they're feeling. And oh my goodness. That's why I was just like, Mm-mm. Love isn't blind, but love is scary because you're putting yourself out there and you really want to try your best to find someone and you're risking yourself getting heartbroken, especially going on TV and finding someone quickly, literally so quickly. But they say all the time that it's almost like a time warp the way they meet people and they spend hours and hours dating and not knowing what they look like. So even though it's been 9 days and they're falling in love with each other, to them it probably feels like a year. I kind of feel like that. I met my husband long distance. We were Our blue wall was the 7 hours between Cincinnati and Atlanta. So when I first met him, it was just kind of like, whoa, your voice is coming out of your face. I mean, there wasn't a lot of video chatting back then. So when I first met him, it was just like weird, like seeing him in the flesh and seeing like, oh, that's your voice. And it was just so interesting. So, anyway, I feel like our love was kinda, like, sped up because of the whole long distance thing, like, when you see each other, like, all of a sudden, it's like you're living with each other, then you're not, and it's just really weird. So, I feel like I can kinda relate to the Love Is Blind story a little bit, but anyhow, it is a roller coaster, and love can be scary, and love and heartbreak can make you feel like you don't want to try to get put yourself out there again and be vulnerable again or to let your guard down because it's so hurtful. It can bring out depression, it can bring out anxiety, bring out insecurities, and bring out all the negative thoughts that you always have about yourself and feel like those negative thoughts are validating because this person broke up with me and oh, there it is. Of course, I'm inadequate. Of course, I'm a failure. Of course, I don't deserve love. So it can be really hard, but we definitely have to find the balance between do we go ahead and put ourselves out there and find love and risk getting heartbroken. And it's really goes back to everything that I've been talking about as far as resilience. Failure creates resilience, challenges creates resilience, stress creates resilience, and guess what? Heartbreak. Heartbreak creates resilience too. But one of the things that Marissa said in that episode when Ramses broke up with her, she was just like, I was finally 100% myself. I was finally being me. And now that I was finally being me, that still wasn't something that he wanted or that someone wanted. So now what am I going to do next? And oh my God, that just broke me. And I was just like, that happens to so many people where you feel like you wanna be your true self in front of the person that you call your love, your spouse, your partner, your life person, you're the one. You wanna be able to be yourself, and when you feel like you're inadequate or you feel like yourself isn't enough, then you start to beat yourself up and you start to look like, well, what did I do wrong? Was it me? What do I need to do? And of course, love and relationships, and especially marriage, causes you to need to grow and change anyway and look inward. Because a lot of times, yeah, you do need to change. And I've mentioned that before in my marriage that I've definitely grown a lot over these 9 years that I've known my husband, and I'm still growing, and we still continue to have difficult conversations. And on the other side is growth from that. And its relationships are very humbling. We talking about all kinds of relationships, dating relationships, as well as marriage. But of course, in Love Is Blind, they just trying to date and find people. So how do you make yourself vulnerable? How do you continue to let your guard down after heartbroken? How do you do that? Well, of course, you got to have boundaries. You got to have boundaries in general. You can't just be out there completely just like, oh, I'm free and I will just love and let it all out. So there has to be some type of boundaries early on, right? Especially if you've been heartbroken. You don't want to, make yourself completely vulnerable to that to heartbreak. But you also have to convince yourself that it's okay to get out there and date again. So, Marissa, You are amazing. Like they said on the reunion show yesterday, you are beautiful, you are amazing, and your energy is awesome. Anybody who's been broken up with, whether you're a male, a female, a they, whoever you are, if anybody done broke up with you, you still are someone to be loved and you still are someone to be cared for, even though it feels scary, right? It is scary. Hey, it's easier to just not find it. But guess what? We are social creatures that need love and need that connection and need that bond. So if you are so scared where you just decide, well, I'm just going to be alone for the rest of my life. I'm just going to do me. I'm just going to do that. A lot of people actually, have good lives like that, but you want love. It's all right. And if you're that scared to get back out there, it's okay to get therapy. It's okay to read some books to try to grow that courage. But then ask yourself, what are those boundaries? Determine what those boundaries are. It's great to be an open person, but maybe there are certain things that you won't talk about right away. Maybe there are certain things that you got to talk about right away, right? Especially if there's some permanent things in your life that you don't want to spread to them or that they might get spread. Hint, hint. There's some things that you got to talk about, but then there's some boundaries that you don't need to talk about. I mean, I have too many examples because it's like, well, it's what's for you. What boundary are you going to create for yourself when it comes to dating after heartbreak? And obviously, taking time for yourself. You got to take time for yourself to rebuild when you have been heartbroken. Definitely, be able to rebuild your mental capacity to be able to grow again and learn and put your heart out there. Thank you. I see you said that you have bought the book. Woohoo! We're gonna take a pause right there. Ivy done bought the Enjoy Now. Yes, I have it here with me. She bought it this morning. Ding, ding, ding. I posted that you should give the treat yourself trick or treat, trick and treat yourself, and trick stands for some things. Thank you so much for buying the book. So we are back to talking about love and putting yourself out there. So after heartbreak, taking that time for yourself is important. And again, I'm going back to Marissa because Marissa and Ramses is what inspired this episode. So that is who we talking about. Marissa's taking time for herself throughout this whole year after he broke up with her. She's been working on law school. Seems like she graduated because she took the bar and she just posted that she failed the bar. And I'm just like, that's okay, girl. You got this because I failed both my boards the first time. Yeah, I did. I'm double board certified right now in child and adolescent psychiatry and adult psychiatry. I failed both of them the first time. And guess what? I passed both of them the second time. So anyhow, Marissa's been working on herself. She said she failed the bar, but she's going to take it again, I imagine, and she's going to pass it the second time. So she's been working on herself at the reunion show yesterday. That's what she talked about. She's just like, I'm doing me. I'm working on myself. So that is something that you should do after heartbreak. Work on yourself and figure out what you can do to grow, even though it can be sad and let's see, what is the word? Like kind of a rude awakening when someone breaks up with you. It's like, what did I do wrong? It may not be something you did wrong, but it is okay to reflect on yourself, to become more aware of what are some things you can work on to grow. Nobody's perfect. And just because you weren't right for that person that broke up with you doesn't mean you're not right for someone else. But just because you weren't compatible with them also doesn't mean that there's not something that you can work on to grow and to be better for your next relationship. Okay. So next, I mean, that really goes into that next step. I done moved ahead already. Practice mindful self-reflection. After heartbreak, practice mindful self-reflection. Thinking about what can you do to grow to be that best person. Yes. Yes, Juan. She was very shocked. That's the word. She was shocked because Like the whole season, we're just like, yeah, I know they're gonna get to the altar and say yes to each other. So she was blindsided. That's the other word. And so how many of you all have been blindsided by heartbreak or by a relationship you've been in, or you've been married and now you're divorced because you've been blindsided, or you are married and you feel blindsided by something your spouse is telling you, but it's great that your spouse is telling you these things because it is he or she or they are telling you a reason why they want to stay with you, but also for you to grow so that your relationship can continue to flourish. So heartbreak isn't always the case. What I'm talking about as far as self-reflecting and looking in yourself and seeing what you need to do to grow. So if you are in a relationship and your spouse is saying like, this is what I need, this is what you should work on, this is what I will work on, that creates a need for practicing mindful self reflection, as well as if you are in a situation where someone has broken up with you or you have had heartbreak. Makes sense. We need to do self reflection regardless of what's going on. So, number three, balancing that vulnerability and self affirmation. Oh my goodness. Because when we are vulnerable, we put ourselves out there to potentially get hurt. We put ourselves out there to get blindsided by something that might happen. But if we're not vulnerable, how do we find that love? So you got to figure out what that balance is for you. I definitely have been blindsided. Yeah, and it's like, why the blind side? Not why not tell me? And that was what Marissa was saying. She was just like, you clearly knew before now that you were feeling this way. And that goes into that other couple, Tyler, no, not Tyler, but Alex and that guy. I always forget their names, but Alex's guy. He was just like, yeah, you were sleeping while my parents were here. So I don't want to be with you. And she was just like, clearly you were thinking about this before you told me. So why are you blaming it on the fact that I was sleeping? That guy was tripping. And let's stop there. Because guess what? We bring our own trauma into relationships. That man unfortunately had so much trauma. And that is another tearjerker part of the show where he was talking about his sisters that died. She was talking about her dad having complications. Alex and Tim, thank you. Yes, exactly. Tim, right? He had a lot of trauma. I think he was in the military. He was so stringent. And so for him to like nitpick, like, oh, you were sleeping. Oh, your house is a mess. Oh, you don't wash the dishes. You didn't call me. I mean, I guess those little things add up. But when you bring in your own trauma and your threshold for disrespect is so low, meaning I could just do a little bit and it hits your threshold so quickly, like there's some things that he could do, right, to grow and process that trauma and process whatever those things that are haunting him as far as the trauma that he's experienced, to raise his threshold so that those little things don't get to him so easily, right? I'm sure there's some things that Miss Alex could have done. She could have kept her apartment clean. I think it's okay that she took a nap. Like, what is the wrong with that? So it just shows that in relationships, process your own trauma. And if you are broken up with someone and you are single now, that is the time to work on yourself. Don't rebound and jump into another relationship, because then you love gonna creep up on you and trick you again, and you gonna be feeling like love is scary again, because guess what? You haven't worked on yourself and you're bringing your trauma to that relationship. And that person that you're with just literally does not deserve the results of you trying to deal with your trauma. Of course, if you're already in a relationship and you're dealing with trauma, hopefully that person is there to support you through that, but get the therapy that you need individually. And sometimes you might need therapy together. Of course, with Love is Blind is pretty, it's like, I mean, when you think about it, these people have been dating like what, 1 to 2 months. So that's why it's so easy for them to say, I'm done. It's actually only been 2 months. But there's some lessons here with these relationships. It's like, deal with your trauma, be don't be so hard on people for the little things. I'm sure there's bigger things, to worry about when it comes to like the nitpicking with what a certain person is doing. But yes, balancing that vulnerability and with the self-affirmation, because once you have been heartbroken, you're feeling like love is scary. I don't want to go back. Like, how do you do that for yourself? So when you work on yourself and you become stronger and you're able to find those resilience tools to help you get back out there, it's a world of a difference, and you will be happy that you got back out there to find your love again, because you will and you can. It will happen. So number 4, taking it slow and celebrating the small wins. That goes back to working on yourself. Why are you jumping back in a relationship? Most of those people in the reunion show yesterday were pretty much saying like, I'm single, I'm working on me. Extend grace to yourself, extend grace to others, especially yourself. If you don't give grace to anybody, give grace to yourself. Thank you for the comment. We've got to do that. And but I would say most of those people, KD, no, not KD, her name is AD. She was there yesterday looking fly. She was just like, oh no, I think she's not single. She said she was with somebody. She just didn't want to tell who. But a lot of those people though, they were just like, yeah, I'm still single. I'm on the market. Or they're protecting their dating relationship and not telling people. Because being in the limelight, that's so hard. I cannot imagine that at all. So that's a whole nother level. But that's why I needed my girl Marissa here to, talk and converse with me. And then she could tell me how that feels. But anyhow, yeah, that is very difficult when it comes to being in front of the TV. But we experience love and break up every day, whether we in front of the TV or not. But taking it slow and celebrating the small wins, whether it's how you've grown from your last relationship and what you're going to bring to the next relationship, or thinking back as to what you have been able to celebrate in your life as far as love and celebration. I mean, the silver lining piece, that is important, literally, to think of. I had the patient say to me today, they were like, well, when I look back, this is what I learned from that relationship. I'm like, that's good. As opposed to thinking, oh, I wasted my time. I wasted 5 years of my life. I wasted 20 years of my life. Hey, it's already happened. Why give yourself the negative affirmation that you wasted time? Think of the small win. What did you learn from that relationship? If it was a 10-year relationship and now it's done, instead of saying you wasted time, oh, thankfully we didn't go 20 years and it wasn't another 10 years of being miserable. So there's a lot of ways to celebrate the small wins and learning from every experience with a growth mindset. So that's that resilience mindset. We got to have resilience everywhere in our life. Resilience in the enjoying, I mean, in every aspect of our health. I've been talking about our physical health, our mental health, our financial health, our aspirational health, and really where love pops in at, that is in our mental health and our social health. So the need to be connected and having this growth mindset is so important, and being positive about the relationships that are very important. We can grow. We can do this. Here's how. I'm just a naturally optimistic person. Optimism can go a long way. And after breakup, the affirmation turns into, I can grow. What can I learn from this breakup? What can I learn from this failed relationship? You can call it a failed relationship, you can call it a breakup. What can I learn so that I can bring a whole me to the relationship? And it's so important to bring a whole you, because they say, oh, you complete me. No, that person doesn't complete you. You are a whole person and they are a whole person. And now you guys are compatible and you are both bringing 100% to each other. And also, when you are a whole person, you are not looking for that person for all of your happiness. Of course, that person, yes, it's great for them to make you happy. Of course you want that. But if there's a time when that person is just not able to make you happy because they got their own thing going on, they cannot be the only ones that's responsible for your happiness. You have to bring your own happiness to the relationship. You have to bring your own happiness to yourself. Whatever spirituality you have, whatever self-care that you do, that mindset that you have for yourself, it helps you in the relationship because sometimes what you bring affects the other person. I recently learned that my husband is an empath, which means that, well, it's not that I learned that to give it a name for it because I know that he is very like heart of gold and he feels what other people feel, and he's like the biggest helper ever. When he Oh my goodness, this man needs to be like a rescuer or paramedics or like a fireman or something. Whenever there is a car crash, he jumps out of the car and he wants to be the first one on the scene to save them. So he's like this hero, and when someone's crying, he cries. When someone is going through something, he feels it. And so but when I learned, okay, this is an empath, I need to know that I need to watch my tone and how I act and how I feel around him so that it's not affecting him negatively. So that if I keep the growth mindset, if I keep my joy on my face, then it helps him to stay that way as well. Same with, oh gosh, same with kids. Oh my goodness. I've learned that, and it's different. Different kids have different personalities, but I notice our toddler is the same way. If you are angry, he gets more angry. If you're sad, he gets more sad. If you're scared, he gets more scared. So I learned that about my toddler as well. But my point is that being a whole person for your relationship brings love and wholeness to the relationship. So if you are not able to bring yourself love to be happy alone, don't even get in that relationship. What can you do to learn and grow and be ready for that next relationship? Seeking support and normalizing the process. Breakup is a part of love. It happens. Unlike Marissa's mom, what she said divorce is normal and divorce is just a part of marriage. She was jaded. Like, she obviously got divorced. I mean, I think differently. I feel like I'm married. I'm gonna be married together. I mean, forever. We gonna be together forever. You stuck with me, Juan. So I feel like divorce is never an option. So I'm just gonna keep working on me no matter what, so that we can have the best relationship ever, kind of thing. But so I don't think that divorce, I mean, if it happens, it has to happen, sure. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation. We will have a whole nother conversation about that. But yeah, sure, heartbreak is a normal process of trying to find love and of dating. So that is a helpful way to help yourself get through that when there is heartbreak and you're blindsided and somebody's telling you, actually, I don't want to be with you. You're just like, oh my gosh. So telling yourself, hey, it's a normal part of it. A part of dating. When you tell yourself that, that is how you're able to get back up again and increases that resilience so that you are able to put yourself back out there and find love. And if you need to seek support, if you had a breakup and you can't stop crying, you can't work, you can't sleep, you can't take care of yourself, you're not talking to friends anymore, seek therapy for it. I mean, maybe that person really did some work on your heart, and that's okay. It's okay to get help for it. So in that sense, I feel like, yes, normalizing the process of a breakup, of being able, like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to go through these things, but noticing if it's affecting your occupation, affecting your social life, then maybe something's wrong and needing to seek support is very important. And lastly, okay, getting through this, embrace the power of saying no. I feel like that is one of the steps to every single episode in the last few weeks. The power of saying no, wherever that is in your dating process or in your finding love process or in your relationship, in your marriage. Embrace the power of saying no because it is okay to say no. And especially in dating, if you feel like there's some red flags, yellow flags, orange flags, stop sooner than later, earlier than later, rather than continuing on. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I should have said no. I should have saw the warning signs, that kind of thing. I mean, going back to Love is Blind, whew, it's really hard because, like I said, you get treated and then you get tricked because those people were so nice to each other and like, obviously, I'm talking about Tim and Alex initially, Marissa and Ramses initially, um, Monica and her man, and Tyler and Ashley. Well, Tyler and Ashley are still happy. They doing good. So okay, that worked out. And then the other couple worked out, Taylor and I almost had his name, Keegan or something like that. Whatever his name is. They seem to work out. But like they treated me and then they tricked me. I'm like, what is going on? I was rooting for all these couples. I just knew this was going to be the first season where we had 5 couples to make it to the altar and say yes. But that's okay. We got a Journey to Joy live episode out of it. And I hope you've learned we've all been heartbroken. It's happened. And sometimes there's like little baby pieces of being heartbroken, even if you're still in that relationship. Or even if you're still in a marriage, there's baby pieces of feeling heartbroken. And what I mean by that, it doesn't mean the person's leaving you. It just means you feel blindsided by something the spouse has said or the spouse has needed. Maybe you felt like, oh, my marriage is great. And then all of a sudden your spouse is like, actually, I'm not happy. Actually, I think we need to do this or you need to do this and you need to work on that and be open to hearing what you need to work on. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you want to stay in that relationship, you're going to work on yourself and you're going to try to change, right? Because the only person you can control is you. You can't control anybody else. So self-reflect, self-affirmation, resilience, boundaries, get yourself out there. It's okay. Be vulnerable because you are getting stronger the more you go through the stress of a heartbreak or the stress of the challenge of finding love. Love isn't blind. Love can be scary. But guess what? Love is worth it. Thank you for listening. This has been an Enjoy Life production. If you're in a crisis, don't hesitate. Call, text, or chat 988 for immediate support. Please note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional treatment. If you're looking for therapy or medication management through Enjoy Life, visit www.drenjoylife.com to request a consultation. I accept Aetna for Georgia residents and out-of-pocket services are available for others. I'm licensed in Georgia, Florida, Michigan, Tennessee, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Illinois, Virginia, and Minnesota. Be sure to grab your copy of the Enjoyno on Amazon for $39.08 to help you on your wellness journey. And remember, Journey to Joy Live is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, may you continue to transform challenges into joy.